What if the next global superpower isn't a country at all? Not America, not China, not even India. I'm talking about a force so powerful, it's already shaping your life right now, yet almost nobody is paying attention to it. When we think about superpowers, our minds instantly jump to armies, economies, and politics. But the world has changed. Power in the 21st century isn't just about tanks, missiles, or money. It's about something far more invisible, yet far more powerful. I'm going to take you into a story that's rarely told, about a rising force that doesn't look like a nation, doesn't fly a flag, and doesn't follow the rules of traditional power. And here's the catch. This force is already in your pocket, in your home, and even in your mind, shaping the way you live without you even realizing it. So stick with me till the end, because by the time we're done, you'll see why the future global superpower might not be a country at all, but something you've been overlooking every single day. Now, why could this hidden force become the next global superpower? Well, there are a few powerful reasons. First, it doesn't need borders. Unlike countries that fight over land, this force spreads everywhere at once. Second, it controls information. And in today's world, controlling information often matters more than controlling weapons. Third, it has influence over billions of people, silently shaping decisions, culture, even politics, without firing a single shot. And fourth, it's growing faster than any nation's economy or army ever could. In the next few minutes, I'll break down each of these pillars, show you the evidence, and reveal why the future of power looks nothing like the past. Whenever we hear the word superpower, we instantly picture countries. The United States, with its massive military, high-tech weapons and global influence. China, with its fast-growing economy, huge population, and ambitions to dominate the 21st century. And maybe India, often called the world's largest democracy, with a rising tech sector and one of the youngest populations on Earth. These are the names that dominate headlines. News channels, politicians, analysts, they all talk about this race for dominance between America, China, and India. And for decades, that made sense. The strongest countries were measured by things we could see and count: armies, GDP, nuclear weapons, alliances. But here's the problem. The world has changed. Power today doesn't always come from military strength or economic size. A country could have the largest army on Earth, but still lose influence if it can't control information, technology, or culture. That's why sticking to the old definition of superpower is dangerous. It blinds us to what's really happening. Because while the world argues about whether America is declining or China is rising, a new kind of power is quietly reshaping everything around us. And this power doesn't look like a country at all. Now, let's be honest. Even the countries we call superpowers aren't as unshakable as they look. Take the United States. Yes, it still has the world's largest military and one of the biggest economies, but it's also drowning in debt, facing political division, and struggling with trust in its own institutions. Some even say America is more divided today than it's been in decades. Then there's China. On paper, it looks unstoppable. Fast economic growth, cutting-edge technology, and global projects like the Belt and Road Initiative. But behind the curtain, China faces slowing growth, an aging population, and growing resistance from other countries that don't want to be dominated by Beijing. And India, often called the rising giant, has enormous potential, but it also battles massive inequality, infrastructure challenges, and environmental risks. Growing fast is one thing. Sustaining it in the face of so many internal hurdles is another. On top of all this, every nation, big or small, faces pressures that don't respect borders: climate change, pandemics, cyber threats, and the rapid pace of technology. These are problems no single country can solve alone, no matter how powerful it is. All of this shows us something important. Traditional power is under pressure. the old pillars of strength, armies, land, GDP, don't guarantee control anymore. And that's exactly why the door is opening for a new kind of superpower to rise. For most of history, power was simple to measure. You just looked at who had the biggest army, the largest economy, or the most land. That was enough to predict which country would dominate. But here's the problem. In today's world, those old definitions don't always work. Think about it. A country might have tanks and missiles, but if it can't protect its digital systems from cyber attacks, its military strength means very little. Another country might have a massive economy, but if that economy depends entirely on technology created somewhere else, is it truly powerful? The truth is, we live in a connected world where influence spreads faster than bullets and borders. A meme on social media can sometimes change public opinion more than a government speech. A software update from a tech company can affect billions of people overnight, something no single law could ever do. So, relying on the old way of measuring power, GDP, military size, nuclear weapons, is misleading. It blinds us to the fact that control over information, technology, and networks is quickly becoming more important than control over armies or land. That's why the future superpower may not look like a nation at all. It might be something that doesn't wave a flag, doesn't send soldiers into battle, but still has more influence over our lives than any government on Earth. It won't just be about who has the biggest army or the fastest growing economy. Future power will be about influence, the ability to shape how people think, what they believe, and even how they behave. Now, let's get specific. If the next superpower isn't a country, then who or what could it actually be? The first obvious contender is big tech and global corporations. Think of companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, or even emerging AI giants. These aren't just businesses anymore. They have more money than some countries, more users than most populations, and more data than any government could ever dream of. Their decisions can move stock markets, shape laws, and even decide what kind of news billions of people see every day. Then we have networks of communities and data-driven entities. These aren't tied to one location. They're global by design. Platforms like social media create digital tribes that can organize movements, spread ideas, or even topple governments. Remember, revolutions in the past needed armies. Today, some begin with a hashtag. Next are online and AI systems themselves. Artificial intelligence, algorithms, and virtual platforms are gaining more influence than traditional leaders. An AI doesn't need a passport. It can operate across borders instantly. And whoever controls these systems might end up controlling the flow of knowledge, security, and even creativity. Finally, consider new alliances or blocs. These may not be traditional military pacts like NATO. Instead, they could be coalitions built around technology, climate action, or even cryptocurrency. Imagine a global alliance of nations and corporations working together on AI governance or digital currencies that could rival traditional superpowers overnight. These are the contenders shaping up to be tomorrow's giants, and the reason why the very idea of superpower is being rewritten right now. Let's take a closer look at some examples that prove this shift is already happening. The first is global tech platforms. Companies like Google, Facebook, TikTok, and X, formerly Twitter, are not just apps on your phone. They are global forces with more reach than most governments. Think about it. Facebook alone has nearly 3 billion users. That's more people than the population of any country on Earth. These platforms decide what billions of people see, which news spreads, and which voices get silenced. A simple algorithm tweak can change the mood of a nation overnight. Governments have to campaign for influence, but these platforms already shape the flow of information in ways no election could. Now, let's talk about AI governance. Artificial intelligence is advancing so fast that even world leaders are struggling to keep up. AI can write, design, predict, and even manipulate. It has the potential to revolutionize industries or destabilize them. Here's the catch. The people and companies building AI right now hold more power over the future than many countries do. If one AI model becomes the backbone of global business, healthcare, and even security, whoever controls it could effectively control the rules of tomorrow's world. These aren't science fiction ideas. They're happening now. If you still think this is just theory, let's look at the numbers. Take big tech. Apple alone is worth over $3 trillion, making it more valuable than the GDP of entire countries like France, India, or the UK. Microsoft and Google aren't far behind. To put it in perspective, the combined value of just the 5 biggest tech companies in the US is larger than the economy of Japan, the world's 3rd largest nation. And let's not forget influence. Every time you unlock your phone, algorithms decide what you see first. Maybe it's a funny video, maybe it's breaking news, maybe it's a product you didn't know you wanted. You didn't choose it, an invisible system did. That's influence. When you search on Google, the order of results can guide what you believe is true or false. When you shop on Amazon, the recommendations push you towards certain products. When you scroll TikTok, the app learns your behavior so deeply it feels like it knows you better than you know yourself. The truth is, the next superpower is already in here. On your screen, in your apps, woven into your daily habits. And that's what makes it so powerful. You don't even realize how much control it already has. So let's step back and look at the big picture. We began with a question. What if the next global superpower isn't a country at all? And now, we can see why that idea matters so much. Because while most of the world is still fixated on the rivalry between the US, China, or India, the real shift may already be happening under our noses. If power is being redefined, then ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It only makes us unprepared. Here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Every empire in history believed it would last forever, until one day, it didn't. The same could be true for our modern idea of superpowers. So ask yourself this. When the history books of the 21st century are written, will the most powerful force be a nation? Or will it be something without borders, something invisible, shaping lives in ways we can barely see today? Because the answer to that question isn't decades away. It's unfolding right now, in the way we use technology, in the information we consume, and in the choices we make every single day. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think the next global superpower will still be a country, or something completely different? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read your perspective. If this video made you see the future a little differently, hit the like button. It really helps. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the hidden forces shaping our world. Share this with a friend who still thinks power only means armies and borders, because the truth might surprise them. Together, let's start paying attention to the future before it arrives without warning.